Chapter 2. Putty. Doctors fear that the 36-year-old woman may have suffered permanent damage to her eyesight. This is the latest in a string of increasingly violent attacks by the Animal Freedom Militia. Avon police say they are doing all they can to protect employees of malaric research, but with more than 200 workers at the laboratory, their resources are stretched to the limit. The news item came from a screen hanging on the wall beside James Adams's head, but he wasn't listening. He was in the dining room on Cherub campus, and those of his mates who weren't away on a mission sat around their usual table. Carrie, Bruce, Callum, Connor, and Shaq. It had been a couple of minutes since Bruce had gone arse over tit, spilling a tray of macaroni and 7-Up over a girl sitting a couple of tables across, but everyone was still winding him up about it. James had a stack of chicken bones on the plate in front of him. His bloated tummy dug into the waistband of his jeans, and he was content to sit back and let the conversation pass him by. Carrie had finished eating as well, and she'd sprawled out in her chair, slipped her feet out of her sandals, and rested her ankles across James's lap. She could have put her feet on one of the empty chairs at the next table, but she hadn't, and James appreciated the affectionate gesture. It meant Carrie was in a good mood, and with luck, they'd be heading upstairs for snogging and homework once their food settled. Shaq sat on James's right and took a quick glance at Carrie's feet. "Your feet are really small, Carrie. What size shoe do you take?" "Size 2. Shaq nodded. "I found out why women have smaller feet than men the other day." Carrie looked baffled. "On average, women are smaller than men all over." "Who wants to know why women have smaller feet than men?" Shaq asked, breaking into a grin. The kids around the table didn't look enthusiastic. "Is this another one of your lame jokes?" Bruce asked. Shaq grinned. "My jokes are quality." Everyone except Shaq either spluttered or shook their heads. Callum summed up the mood. "If you say so, dude." "Fine, if you don't want to hear it." Bruce tutted. "Tell us the stupid joke, Shaq. Otherwise we'll never hear the end of it. Why do women have smaller feet than men?" Shaq's grin grew until it ate up his whole face. "So they can stand closer to the kitchen sink when they do the washing up." The joke was as bad as everyone expected, but it raised a laugh because the boys were already in a jovial mood. James managed a quick grin before he turned and caught the frosty look on Carrie's face. "Male chauvinist pigs," Carrie snapped as she pulled her feet off James's lap and faced him off with her hands on her hips. "Hey, I didn't tell the joke," James said, raising his palms defensively. Carrie glowered. "But you laughed." There was a loud crack as she slapped James across the cheek. "Jesus, Carrie," James said, raising his arms in front of his head to stop her getting another shot in. "Keep things in proportion, why don't you?" "You'd all better wipe those smirks off," Carrie said, shooting thunderbolts at the other boys around the table. Then she zoomed in on Shaq. "You reckon sexist jokes are so funny? How would you feel if I sat here telling packy jokes?" There was a tense silence as Carrie grabbed her food tray and steamed off. James sheepishly rubbed the stinging red mark on his face. Callum and Bruce creased up as soon as she was out of sight. "Did you hear that crack?" Callum yelled. "That was bad," Bruce said, as he exuberantly slammed his hand against the table. James turned sourly towards Shaq. "Thanks for winding my girlfriend up." "No snogging for Mr. Adams tonight," Callum grinned. The lads all snickered at James's expense. "I don't know what you're all looking so happy for," James said. Where have all your girlfriends got to tonight? Oh wait, I remember. None of you losers have girlfriends. I've got nearer, Callum said. Bruce laughed. You had 2 snogs and she's been away on a mission for 6 months. Still counts, Callum said, glowering at Bruce. She emails me almost every day. Who have you ever snogged? I've kissed girls. James laughed. Like who? Not here, Bruce said. Out on missions and stuff. Everyone groaned because they didn't believe him. Bruce was shy around girls. He snogs that little blue teddy he always sleeps with. Shaq giggled. Piss off, Bruce said angrily. And I don't sleep with Jeremy. He fell off that shelf over my bed one time and Kyle went and told the whole world. What the hell kind of name is Jeremy for a teddy? James smirked. Yeah, Connor nodded. You'd at least think he'd snog a teddy with a girl's name. Bruce exploded out of his seat and glowered at Connor. Want to try repeating that in 5 seconds when I've punched all your teeth out? James backed up his chair and grinned at his mates as he stood up. I'll leave you 4 pussies to sort your squabbles. I'd better be in my room when Carrie comes knocking. You reckon? Shaq said. That's really going to happen when she just cracked you one? I happen to have an ace up my sleeve, James grinned. Little Miss Perfect is failing algebra. She needs my massive brain to sort out her X's and Y's. Connor tutted. You're totally jammy, James. You always get lucky with girls. James looked smug as he walked away from the table. What can I say, guys? Chicks can't resist me. They're putty in my hands. James went up to his room, stepped over the dirty laundry, and sat on his double bed reading the copy of Great Expectations his English teacher had inflicted on him. He was supposed to be 250 pages in already, but he was mired in the low 70s and couldn't concentrate because he expected Carrie to knock at any minute. But he was having doubts by the time he reached page 106, and when a knock finally came, it was a triple. Lauren? James yelled, as his sister's long blonde hair dangled inside the door. Ha ha! Lauren smiled, pointing at James as she stepped into the room. Your face is well red. Carrie said she gave you a good stinging. James slid his bookmark in and straightened himself up. You saw Carrie? Is she coming over? Doubt it, Lauren said. She's just been up in my room getting help with her maths homework. You little traitor, James gasped. What did you do that for? I'm way better at maths than you. She's in a right mood with you, James. And I might not be as good at maths as you, but I still get all A's and I'm ahead of Carrie. Anyway, it serves you right for cracking a sexist joke. Shaq told the joke. I barely laughed. Whatever, Lauren shrugged. You and Carrie are such drama queens. It'll be hands all over each other again by tomorrow. So, did you just come here to gloat about me getting slapped? Lauren grinned. Came to ask a favour, actually. Sounds ominous. Lauren sat on the edge of the bed. You know Kirsten McVicker? James shook his head. Yes, you do, James. She was at my birthday party. She's Bethany's friend, but she's a year younger. She was wearing those black tights with the green spots on? Nah, James said. Your mates all talk the same crap, and you're always swapping clothes. Why does it matter anyway? Kirsten dropped out of basic training last week, and you know Bethany's brother Jake is doing his training as well? James nodded. How's the little dude getting on? Kirsten says Jake's struggling. He's only just turned 10. He sprained his thumb, and he's not exactly huge for his age, so he's having a hard time carrying his pack on long runs and stuff. Pity, James said. I hope Jake doesn't fail. He's a bit full of himself at times, but pot calling kettle if ever I heard it, Lauren interrupted. Anyway, me and Bethany made up a plan to give Jake a boost. We want to take him a little pick-me-up package. You know, chocolate bars for energy, dry boots and underwear, a padded strap to make carrying his pack easier. James looked shocked. Lauren, you can't just waltz into the basic training compound. The gates are alarmed, and there's barbed wire and surveillance cameras everywhere. Me and Bethany have it all worked out, but we could do with someone older coming with us. No, 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 James laughed. Don't look at me. We'll get hammered if we're caught. Jake's a nice little kid, but he'll just have to suffer through basic training, same as we all did. Please, James. Besides, why do you care? I mean, I can see Bethany would want to risk her neck for her little brother. But you? I've never heard you say a good word about Jake. You battered him that time he blocked your toilet up with popcorn. Bethany's my best friend. I'm doing it for her. Hang on, James gasped as his face lit up with realization. You're not doing this for Jake at all. Lover boy's in training as well, isn't he? You're doing this for Rat. No, Lauren gasped. I mean, Rat is Jake's training partner, but he's not my boyfriend. Look, Lauren, I know you've got the hots for Rat, but I'm on top of everything now. All my homework is up to date, and my grades aren't bad. I must have spent 1,000 hours running punishment laps and scrubbing toilets since I came to Cherub. I'm not sticking my neck out for anyone unless it's life and death. I thought you might say that, Lauren grinned. So I'll have to call in the favour. What favour? I don't owe you squat. James felt his heart jolt as Lauren gave him her evil smirk. Her face had altered since she was a toddler, but that expression hadn't changed a bit. It was the look she used to get right before jamming an ice cream cornet in your face. It was the look she had when she broke the computer and told their mum she saw James do it. Remember last year, when we were in Idaho? Lauren said airily. Remember cheating on Carrie with a girl called Becky? James nodded grimly. I never told anyone, but, I mean, that information could slip out at any time, and Carrie would kick your ass. So, I just want one little favour in return for eternal silence. You what? James yelled. That's not asking for a favour, that's blackmail. I suppose you could call it that, Lauren smirked. But James, you like Rat, you like Jake. Is it really such a big problem? What kind of scumbag blackmails their own brother? James asked indignantly. Lauren ducked the question. James, me and Bethany have everything planned out. There's no way we'll get caught. You know what? James said, trying to sound confident. I'm calling your bluff. That thing with Becky happened more than a year ago, and Carrie knows I'm no angel. She'll understand. Lauren grinned as she headed for the door. Fine. I'll go tell Carrie about Becky now then. James acted casual as Lauren headed out into the corridor and turned towards Carrie's room. But he couldn't keep up the act and scrambled after her. Carrie's room was less than 20 metres away, and Lauren was all set to knock by the time he'd caught up. Okay, you win, James whispered bitterly. Lauren smiled contentedly. Thought I might. James huffed. But you can't keep blackmailing me. You've got to swear on our mum's grave never to tell anyone. That's fair, Lauren nodded. Then she broke into a grin and gave her brother a hug. Thanks, James. James was too pissed off to hug Lauren back, but he did have a grudging admiration for her cheek. Then Carrie's door popped open. "Thought I could hear you two," Carrie said. "What's going on out here?" "Nothing," James said unconvincingly. Lauren smiled at Carrie. "I told this idiot to come and apologise to you." James was relieved to see that Carrie was smiling back at him. "Guess I overreacted," she said. James shrugged. "Sorry I laughed at that joke." "I'll live," Carrie said, as she stepped up and kissed James on the cheek. "Did I hear you say you were behind on Great Expectations earlier?" "Page 112. James nodded. "That's further than me," Carrie said. "I'm never going to catch up, so I got the film version out of the library. You want to come in and watch it?" "Lifesaver," James grinned as he stepped into Carrie's room. Then he looked back at Lauren. "Catch up with you later, sis." "I'll send you a text with the details," Lauren said. "Don't be late." Carrie looked a bit confused. What's she up to? James moved in to kiss Carrie back. "Don't worry about it," he grinned, as he looped his arm around her back and kicked the door shut with his trainer.